Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So the Warhammer community website came out with some big news today. They released a post talking about codexes, and one of the big things in this for me is that they actually say here, they state in it that you can expect to see around 10 new codexes before Christmas. So before Christmas this year we're going to get 10 new codexes. So this video is going to be speaking about the codexes, about my thoughts, what I'd like to see, discussion on some of the stuff that's in the article as well. So let's jump in and let's get started. Now there's been a lot of discussion about the codexes. I know me and my friends have been debating which codex is going to come first. We were all convinced that it was going to be Codex Primaris Marines, but judging by the actual codex we're actually seeing in the article now, where it says Codex Adeptus Astartes, which is basically Space Marines, it's got a Primaris Marine on front of it. So I think they're actually going to put the Primaris Space Marines and the Old Guard, I like to call them Old Guard or Minimes Space Marines, in the same book. So the Primaris Marines are not actually going to get a separate codex. They're actually going to be in one book, which for me is great because, you know, I have just started a Dark Angel army, and I do want to get some other like smaller models and stuff like that to go with them, and I didn't want to be buying like 3 or 4 different codexes just to use, you know, a couple of models at a time. So I'm glad they're actually putting it all in one book and not separating it up into different books, because I think that you'll just get too much information spread around, too many different sources, and so I'm glad they're all compiling it into one big book. Now when I first saw this article, or should I say when I first saw the picture, I actually saw the Codex Astartes Space Marines, and I thought the biggest news out of this is going to be that the Primaris Marines are going to be rolled in with the regular Space Marines. Now that's turned out that that's just the tip of the iceberg. The biggest news in this for me is that we're going to get 10 codexes before Christmas. That is 10 army codexes before Christmas. Now they list the first 4 here. So the first 4 is the Space Marine one, which we've just discussed. And then that's going to be swiftly followed by Grey Knights, then Chaos Space Marines, then with Death Guard not far behind that. So now they've even approached the hurdle of breaking up the Chaos Gods and giving them a codex now. Now it says here that we're going to get Death Guard, but surely now that we've got Death Guard, we're going to start seeing Slanesh, Zinch and Khorne codexes come out, because are they really going to just pander to just one Chaos God when there's obviously all the rest of the Chaos Gods out there, and they've got so much rich background and so much lore and so much abilities you can build with the armies and stuff like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they actually go down and progress down this route now properly and start taking on some of the all these sub factions. And where does that stop now? Where is this going to stop? Are we going to start seeing sub factions popping up in other races? You know, where Necrons, are they going to start, like, I don't know, different dynasties, Eldar with all their different gods and stuff? Or we got to start getting codexes down the line for these chaps? Where does it stop? Where does it stop? And you know, it's very exciting, and you can probably tell on my voice I'm very excited at the moment, and just trying to process all of the information. It's going to be really fun to see where it goes. Personally, I've got a couple of armies in front of me right now. I've got Custos, I've got Imperial Fist, I've got some small little Templars, but they're more or less 30k Templars, so I can't really use them. And I will have a Grey Knight army very soon. My friend Tiberius is doing a commission painting for me, and I'll have them soon. Now, more or less, I've got 2 of those armies out the way with my Grey Knights and Space Marines. But are we now going to start seeing stuff like, are they actually going to do codexes for some of the Space Marine chapters, like Blood Angels, like Space Wolves, you know, like we actually saw in the old editions? Personally, I would want that. I'm hoping that, you know, the actual Space Marine Codex itself does go in and give us some information on it, and we'll discuss that later. But I would love a separate Codex for my certain army, especially something like Blood Angels or Space Wolves, just like they did back then, to have their own personal Codex, because they've got so many units, they've got so much flavour, they've got so much to add to the tabletop, that I personally think that these kind of chapters deserve their own codex book. And some of you guys will probably know that I sometimes have a little rant with my Custodes that I wish they had more function in 40k. Like my previous video, I was mentioning that there's no grav weaponry, or sorry, grav vehicles at all for Custodians. Now they have all this awesome grav tech back in 30k, but there's nothing there in 40k. Now surely someone saved a tank, or someone's, you know, has saved like some of the technology for a grav tank for the Custodians. These guys are like the Emperor's like guardians. I know, of course, the Siege of Terror happened and there was a lot of bloodshed, a lot of people exploded and died and stuff. I know all that happened, but surely something survived. So personally on a personal note, and I would love to get your chaps' feedback on this, is what codex would you like to see? Now personally, I would love to see a Custodian Guard codex. I want all rules for like brand new vehicles. I want all the grav vehicles in there. I want some of the units that you see in 30k. I would love to bring them over to 40k and use them on the tabletop. Of course, we'll probably have to balance them out. A little bit. I know you can't really have the 30k rules in 40k, but hey, I'm okay with that if they nerf some of the units down. I just want to be able to use these awesome models that I've got in my cabinet, awesome models that I see Forge will doing out on the table in the 40k setting, because if you've been reading the lore, the Custodians are about now with Guilliman. They are out, they are unleashed upon the galaxy. So it makes sense for them to have an army on the tabletop. So I'm really hoping that maybe we will get a Custodian Codex very soon with this new 8th edition. And again, I just really can't contain my hype. Is this the edition that we see the Black Templars return? Now, I'm going to kick myself so hard if these guys get a Codex in 8th edition. I abandoned my Black Templar project with my Primaris Marines because they became a tad too difficult. But if these guys get a brand new Codex with 8th, then I'm definitely just jumping in with Black Templars. I'm sorry, I don't care if they look like absolute dog crap. I'm going to have to make a Black Templar army if they're going to release a brand new Codex in 8th edition for Black Templars. They've been far too long without their own Codex, and yes, they definitely need one. As someone who is a fanboy of Templars, of any chapter of Rogal Dawn's Gene Seed, I really want Templars to get their own Codex, and I want to see them represented properly in 8th edition. Okay, let's pull myself back from Dreamland for a moment and let's carry on with this new article, because it says here, it has a nice little section, what can you expect from the new codexes? So right here, I'm just going to read this straight from the article. It says, a major gaming addition in these codexes are the army-specific stratagems representing the unique ways in which every army in the Warhammer 40,000 does battle. These useful abilities are available to your army via command points and can change the course of battle in a moment, from sudden or orbital bombardments to desperate acts of heroism. As well as these stratagems, there's also going to be relics, warlord traits, tactical objectives, and psychic powers for your army. And it goes into a bit more information, but it sounds so good. Now, as you can see on the screen here, there's a little picture they put in, and it says here, like obviously on the picture, it says we've got background and lore. So it says your army's place in the changing galaxy in Dark Imperium. Now, for someone like me who's really into the lore, I really want to find out how each chapter is progressing with the new Dark Imperium storyline. I want to actually find some chapters that don't accept the Primaris Marines. I've got a very strong feeling that the Flesh Tearers are going to be a chapter that's shun away from the Primaris Marines. That is one of the reasons I didn't paint my Blood Angels as Flesh Tearers, because Andy Smiley on a community stream was saying, well, maybe the Flesh Tearers won't accept it. And for anyone who knows who Andy Smiley is, he is he's one of the main authors who writes Flesh Tearers. So that basically pulled me back a bit on that front. And the other subheadings, it has a army special rules, unique stratagems, which we've just talked about, rules of battle, warlord traits, psychic powers, tactical objectives, yada yada. Now at the bottom it has something very interesting. It says sub-faction rules, chapter, chaos legions, and more. Now, are they going to be bringing back chapter traits? Because I really hope they do. As someone who played Imperial Fists, well, my Imperial Fist is my Imperial Fist army is mainly 30k, but I did have a couple of small groups that I ran in 40k, and I used to love, you know, the bolter drills, re-rolls you can have when you actually fail them. I thought that was a great little chapter tactic. So I'm wondering if they're going to start bringing chapter tactics back. Hopefully. I love them. I know a lot of people dislike them. Well, they dislike the chapter tactics they had for their chapter, so maybe, I don't know if they're going to improve on them, make them better, who knows. But I am now kind of happy that we probably will be getting something actually along the lines of chapter tactics, which we did have back in 7th edition. Okay chaps, that is all from me. Now I hope you've enjoyed the video. I would love to get some feedback on what you think about this new article. Have you got any nice little theories on what codex you may think is next? What would you like to see next is probably the most important one. What is your army, and what codex would you like to see be brought out for your army? Maybe you're a Black Templar fan and you want a Black Templar codex. Maybe you're a Necron fan but you want something more in the Necron codex than the one from the 7th edition. Please let me know. Let's have a nice little healthy conversation in the comments section discussing this awesome new news. But yeah, that is all for me chaps. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Have a great night and have a great week, and I shall see you all very, very soon. See you now, and bye bye.